Malachi chapter 2 is speaking primarily to the Jews of Judah. He says that the Jews of Judah will not have been sufficiently fervent in their worship of the Almighty. And non-religious Jews are being censured in this passage. And he says, and now, O you priests, are you Cohenim, you priests? Cohenim in Hebrew means priest. You have the name Cohen. Cohen usually means that the forefather, the person with that family name Cohen, was a priest, and his forefathers may well have served in the temple. On the whole, there are exceptions. People sometimes get names by accident, this and that, some other ways, but most people with the name Cohen assumedly had forefathers who served in the temple. And he says in Malachi 2:2, if we will not hear, we will not lay it to heart to give glory unto my name, says the Lord of hosts. I will even send a curse upon you, and I'll curse your blessings. Yea, I've cursed them already. Because you did not lay it to heart. We do not worship God in our heart, and therefore we'll have to suffer for it. And we should be aware of this. And he also said, I will corrupt your seed and spread dung upon your faces, even the dung of your solemn feasts, and one that shall take you away with it. And he also speaks of Levi, the Levites, and of Aaron and Moses. They were also from the tribe of Levi. And God had a special covenant with the tribe of Levi, a special agreement, one could say. Levi was a special tribe, was a priestly tribe. Malachi speaks of this. Malachi 2:4 says, you know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi, says the Lord of hosts. My covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave it to him for the fear wherewith he feared me, and was afraid before my name. And he was afraid before my name. The law of truth was in his mouth, and iniquity was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity. Peace and equity. To treat people well, to treat them, to give them the respect that they need and that they deserve. And he did turn many away from iniquity. He kept many on the right track. That's what the priests, the Levites did. For the priests' lips should keep knowledge. They should learn Torah. Many people learn Torah today descend from Levi. Many of the sages in the Talmud were from the tribe of Levi. And they should seek the Lord at his mouth, for he's a messenger of the Lord of hosts. And in the future they will be blessed. It says in Jeremiah 33:22, as the host of heaven cannot be numbered, nor the sand of the sea measured, so will I multiply the descendants of David my servant, and the Levites who minister unto me. So both Levi and the family of David will be multiplied exceedingly, and will be very numerous. There will be a very large number of people from Levi and from David in the world at the end times. And he condemns the Israelites and the Jews for not respecting Levi as they should. And they will be punished for it. They're warned by Malachi. And we also, not only they're warned by Malachi for receiving a punishment for not respecting Levi, that is not respecting the teachers, the rabbis, those who teach the law, but also for not treating each other well. He said, we're not all one Father. Have not one God created us? Why do we deal treacherously each man against his brother by profaning the covenant of our fathers? Judah has dealt treacherously, and abomination is committed in Israel and in Jerusalem. For Judah has profaned the holiness of the Lord which he loved, and he hath married the daughter of a strange God. Jews who marry outside the faith, that's their own business. Everyone has to find their own way in this world. But they are doing a bad thing. They are doing an injustice to the people of Israel, and they will be punished according to Malachi. Jews should be true to the pathway, do what they can, and they should marry within the tribe of Judah. And now we also have a problem in Israel because of this. Many Russian immigrants to Israel are married to Gentile women. Many of themselves, so the Russians who come to Israel, are offspring of Gentile women. And many of them are very good, engineers, scientists, a lot of good people amongst them, but also those who are responsible for crime, for drunkenness, for prostitution, and for anti-Semitism. You even have anti-Semitism movements amongst them, and politicians who join left-wing or right-wing non-religious parties and incite the whole of the nation against religious Jews. And it also seems that the government, certain elements within the government, deliberately try and bring non-Jewish immigrants, of Jewish families, but non-Jewish, technically non-Jewish families from Russia to Israel. Whereas there have been numerous complaints about religious Jews in the USA who want to come to Israel, and the Israeli officials have placed obstacles in their path. So this is an anti-Semitic phenomenon that exists, and that the Israeli government is responsible for, and the Israeli public is responsible for. And Malachi condemns them for this. He says in Malachi 2:12, the Lord will cut off the man that does this, the master and the scholar, out of the tabernacles of Jacob, and him that offers an offering unto the Lord of hosts. As the master and the scholar, that's intellectuals. Intellectuals are often guilty of these kind of crimes, so this kind of injustice to the Jewish people. Intellectuals have something of a perversion. They want to harm themselves, to harm the people, to harm everyone. Everyone is bad except for the bad people, according to them. That is, left-wing people. Others, even right-wing scholars, have this bent. And even the time of Malachi was apparent. And Malachi foresaw that this would be the case. He condemns the master and the scholar. And so Malachi has a message for us. He is very up to date on what is happening to us. Malachi 2:13, and he says, "You have done this again, covering the altar of the Lord with tears, with weeping, with crying out, insomuch that he regarded not the offering any more, receiving it with goodwill at your hand." So we do not act as we should, and God doesn't hear our prayers, and doesn't take a regard for the good things that we try to do, that God should help us, because we're not doing things that they should be. And so too, a person should be faithful to his wife, as Malachi says in 2:14. And he condemns those who are unfaithful to their women. And 2:15 he says, you should seek a godly seed. You should seek to be a good person, and you should seek to have a good spirit, and you should treat your wife well. Malachi 2:16 he says, the Lord God of hosts says that someone puts away his wife, or that someone who does violence or allows violent events to take place is acting treacherously against the God Almighty. He also says, everyone who does good in this sight, everyone that does good is blessed, and everyone that does evil is not good. But you say that it is good. People say that the good is bad and the bad is good. So this is what was happening now in the media. Day by day we see incitements against people who keep the faith, people who believe in God, people who are going along the right path, and people are being edged on. Bad things are said about them, untrue things, or exaggerated things, or things that should be regarded as positive but are presented in a negative light. This is what is happening now. We also should tell the truth. Malachi calls upon us to tell the truth. We should not be hypocritical. If something is bad, do not condone it. Evil is evil, needs to be excoriated. So none of us know how much time we have left in this world. We may have a lot of time, we may have a little time. We all need to do the best we can with what we have, whilst we can. We refrain from evil. And often we say things that are unnecessary. It's better to say nothing at all if we cannot say anything good. But criticism, however, is sometimes needed. We have to keep a balance, we have to control ourselves at times. No hard and fast rules, but we should ask God to help us and make an effort on the right track. And a good attitude will usually have positive results, so that's what we should try to do. So that was Malachi 2.